On a quiet street in suburban Texas, two garage doors open at the same time. The first garage looks impressive. A $78,000 lifted pickup truck fills most of the space. Chrome wheels, off-road tires the size of small tables. Next to it hangs a $4,200 carbon fiber mountain bike that hasn't touched a trail in months. A Peloton bike sits in the corner with a thin layer of dust on the screen. Amazon boxes stack against the wall, still sealed from last week's deliveries. From the outside, this garage signals success. Most people would assume the owner is doing extremely well. 2 houses down, another garage opens. Inside sits a 7-year-old Toyota Highlander. No modifications, no polished chrome, just a reliable SUV with 92,000 miles on the odometer. A used Trek bicycle leans against a plastic storage bin. Everything is organized, nothing flashy. To most people driving by, this garage looks ordinary, maybe even boring. But here, the difference no one can see from the street. In the first house, almost every dollar of income already has a destination. Car payments, subscriptions, deliveries, dining out. In the second house, something else exists. Margin, the quiet space between what life costs and what income actually provides. On paper, the owner of the first garage looks like the winner. He earns about $140,000 a year. Solid income, comfortable suburb, 2-car garage. The kind of life many people spend their 20s chasing. But look closer at the monthly flow of money. The pickup truck costs $738 a month in payments. Insurance adds another $210. The household runs 6 streaming services, about $110 monthly combined. Amazon purchases average $350 a month, most of it small convenience items that barely get used. Food delivery shows up twice a week. Another $60 to $80 each time once fees and tips are included. Friday night dinner at a sit-down restaurant easily reaches $120 for 2 people. None of these expenses feel extreme on their own. They feel normal, comfortable, routine. Now look at the second house. That household earns closer to $90,000 a year, a smaller income by any measure, but the car is paid for. Coffee is made in the kitchen every morning. Streaming services rotate instead of stacking. Instead of money flowing outward in small daily leaks, about $1,200 a month moves automatically into index funds. 2 neighbors, 2 lifestyles that look almost identical from the street. But underneath the surface, the financial trajectories are moving in completely opposite directions. The difference between these 2 households is not intelligence, it is not discipline, and it is definitely not income. The difference is awareness, because the modern consumer economy no longer relies on large purchases. Those are easy to notice. A $40,000 car forces you to think. A $30,000 renovation requires planning, but a $6 coffee does not. A $14 delivery fee does not. A $12 monthly subscription does not. Modern spending systems are built around one simple strategy: extract small amounts of money repeatedly. Convenience platforms remove friction. Subscriptions automate payments. Buy now, pay later divides prices into smaller pieces. Marketing reframes wants as necessities. The goal is not to take $10,000 at once. The goal is to take $20 today, $15 tomorrow, $8 next week. Small enough that you never feel the loss, but large enough that, over time, the numbers become enormous. Because money compounds, but so do habits. A daily $6 purchase does not look like a financial decision. It looks like a routine. But routines repeated for 10,000 days quietly shape the direction of a life. The first household optimized for comfort. The second household optimized for margin. And margin, more than income, determines whether money controls your life or gives you control over it. Now zoom out to the national level. The average American household spent about $78,000 last year on consumer expenses. Spending rose roughly 5.1%. Wages increased closer to 3.8%. That gap seems small, but gaps that grow every year eventually become pressure. And most households respond to that pressure in the same way. They try to maintain the same lifestyle, not by reducing spending, but by letting small conveniences multiply. A few subscriptions here, a few delivery orders there, a new phone upgrade every couple of years. None of these decisions look irresponsible in isolation, but habits do not operate in isolation. They accumulate. Take a simple daily routine. A $6 coffee on the way to work. That feels trivial, but over a year, it becomes $2,190. Invest that same amount at 8% annually, and over 30 years, it grows into roughly $250,000, $240,000, not because coffee is expensive, but because repetition quietly turns small decisions into financial trajectories. The real question is not whether something costs $6. The real question is how many times you will repeat that decision over the next 30 years. Because your habits are not just spending money, they are slowly deciding your future. Once you understand the math, the strategy becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. Financial stability rarely comes from a single brilliant investment. It comes from removing the quiet leaks that drain money every week. Over time, a few clear rules start to emerge. First, convenience is never free. When someone else cooks your meal, delivers your groceries, or drives your car, you are paying a premium for saved effort. Second, transportation is utility, not identity. A vehicle's job is to move you from one place to another. The moment it becomes a status symbol, the price multiplies. Third, subscriptions multiply silently. $10 here, $15 there. Before long, dozens of automatic payments leave your account every month. Fourth, status purchases carry the highest markups. Designer logos, luxury upgrades, limited editions. These products are priced for signaling, not function. Fifth, technology improves slower than marketing claims. Most new devices solve problems you did not have yesterday. Sixth, debt for consumption destroys margin. Financing clothing, gadgets, or vacations means paying tomorrow for pleasures that disappear today. These rules are not about deprivation. They are about protecting something most people lose without noticing: financial breathing room. Look at how these rules play out in everyday purchases. A burrito from the local restaurant costs $14 if you pick it up yourself. Open a delivery app, and the same burrito suddenly costs $24 to $26 after service fees, delivery fees, and tip. Order twice a week, and that convenience adds roughly $1,200 to $1,500 a year to your spending. Or consider the modern car purchase. The average new vehicle now sells for around $48,000. The moment you drive it off the dealership lot, about 20% of its value disappears. That is nearly $9,600 lost before the first oil change. Add a $700 monthly loan payment, and transportation quietly becomes one of the largest expenses in the household budget. Technology follows the same pattern. A brand new flagship smartphone costs about $1,200. But a refurbished version from 2 years ago often sells for $450 to $500, while performing nearly identically for everyday use. Then there are subscriptions. 7 streaming services at $12 to $18 each quickly become $90 to $110 per month. That is over $1,000 a year just to watch television. None of these examples involve luxury mansions or private jets. They involve ordinary habits repeated inside ordinary homes. None of this spending behavior happens by accident. Modern consumer systems are designed around human psychology. The first trigger is dopamine. Every time you tap Order Now on a delivery app, your brain receives a small reward. The food arrives. The brain remembers the convenience. The next time you feel tired after work, the habit repeats automatically. The second trigger is friction removal. A generation ago, buying something required effort. You had to drive to the store, stand in line, hand over cash. Today, a purchase takes one thumbprint on a phone screen. Apple Pay, one-click checkout, stored credit cards. The fewer obstacles between desire and purchase, the more often people spend. The third trigger is payment illusion. A $200 purchase feels expensive, but split it into 4 payments of $50, and the brain interprets the cost very differently. The total price fades into the background, while the smaller number becomes the focus. Finally, there is decision fatigue. After 8 or 9 hours of work, the brain becomes tired. Cooking dinner, comparing prices, or evaluating financial trade-offs requires energy. Convenience requires none. So the default decision becomes the easiest one. And when the easiest decision costs money, the spending never feels like a deliberate choice. Awareness is useful, but awareness alone does not change behavior. Systems do. The first step is a 1-week audit. For 7 days, write down every recurring expense. Subscriptions, delivery apps, coffee runs, streaming services, automatic payments that leave your account without you thinking about them. Most people are surprised by the number of small charges quietly stacking in the background. The second step happens over the next 30 days. Eliminate 3 convenience habits, not all of them, Just 3. Cancel unused subscriptions. Replace delivery orders with grocery trips. Brew coffee at home instead of stopping at a drive-thru every morning. The goal is not perfection. The goal is creating financial friction where spending used to be automatic. The third step is the most important. Redirect the savings immediately. If $300 a month disappears from canceled habits, move that $300 automatically into an investment account, a low-cost index fund, a retirement account, a brokerage account set to invest on the same day every month. Without this step, money tends to drift back into spending. With this step, small lifestyle adjustments quietly become long-term wealth, not through dramatic sacrifices, through consistent redirection. Financial lives tend to follow one of two cycles. The first is the consumption cycle. Convenience spending slowly increases. Delivery apps replace cooking. Streaming services multiply. Small purchases fill spare moments of the day. Monthly expenses creep upward almost invisibly. As expenses grow, savings shrink. With less financial margin, unexpected events become stressful. A medical bill, a car repair, a job change. Pressure builds, and convenience becomes even more attractive. Ordering food feels easier than planning meals. Small purchases feel like rewards after difficult days. The cycle feeds itself. More stress leads to more spending. More spending leads to less financial security. But there is another cycle. The wealth cycle begins the moment expenses drop slightly below income. That gap, even a few $100s each month, begins flowing into investments instead of consumption. Investments grow. Over time, the growth itself begins producing income. Dividends, capital gains, retirement accounts slowly expanding in the background. As that margin grows, financial pressure decreases. Decisions become calmer. Work becomes less desperate. Opportunities become easier to evaluate. The difference between these cycles rarely begins with dramatic changes. It usually begins with small habits repeated every week. From the outside, wealth often looks like ownership. A larger house, a luxury SUV in the driveway, a garage filled with impressive things. But those signals can be misleading. Many lifestyles that look wealthy from the street are built on obligations. Car loans, credit card balances, monthly payments that require the next paycheck to arrive on time. That is not wealth. That is maintenance. Real wealth rarely announces itself that way. It appears in choices. The ability to leave a job that damages your health. The ability to take time off when family needs you. The ability to move across the country for an opportunity that excites you. Or simply the ability to wake up on a Monday morning and know that work is optional. Those choices come from something simple: margin. The distance between what your life requires and what your resources can support. Modern consumer culture encourages the opposite. It pushes people to expand their lifestyle until income and expenses sit almost on top of each other. But when that distance disappears, so does freedom. Because in the end, wealth is not the size of your house or the logo on your car. Wealth is the number of choices available to you. Optionality.